Bella, do you think American Black women, do you think that they're better qualified to love a Black man than, say, other races of women?
Whoa, that's a loaded question, Chardé. To an extent, if she has traditional values. Okay. And I say that because she's a Black woman. So in my opinion, there are certain things that a woman who is not Black, may not and cannot identify or understand. Now, in terms of personal experience, that doesn't mean she can't learn it, that can't, but yes, I do. Again, if the woman has traditional values, but if she's a Black feminist, then
it's like, no,
that is what it is. I mean, that is what it is. But if she has traditional values, absolutely. And I mean, think about it. Each culture, they prefer for them to marry their own culture. And I think that, and that holds tradition, that obviously, holds, everything, as SB said, the Black community is dwindling because we're all mixing together. So yeah, the short answer, yes, to an extent. Simply because, we do generally come from similar cultures.
Okay. SB, what do you have on the topic? Do you think that the American Black woman is better qualified to love a Black man than any other race of woman?
Better qualified. I would think that she would be the one that has more criterias or qualifications to do so. But when you say better qualified, that requires effort.
Yeah. Right. Oh, word.
Yes.
The word.
Yes.
So, yes, and then I'm going with Bella. Yes and no, because we are better qualified. We are the best to love our men. Because when you start mixing cultures, it gets real. The way you grew up is the way you were groomed. It's just how it is, and you can learn others, like she said. But to know who you are is to know who you are. So yes, we are the better to do so. But again, it requires effort. Because these other cultures, they love our men. They love it. They put forth the effort to learn, to listen to the music, to talk the language, to eat the food. They do whatever they got to do to learn how to fix the hair. They have children.
That's true.
That's true.
And I was going to mention that, SB. I was going to mention the children. What comes to mind to me is the children. It's not just about, my generation, but it's about the future generations. And I just think, again, traditional values, a woman with a straight head on her shoulders, who's empathetic, who's nurturing. Yes, she is the best woman for the Black man and her children, because I kind of see it as happening this way. For example, a white mother and a Black man. That white mother is likely going to more so teach that child, especially the girl, to more so identify with the white culture, with the white things. And then that could cause, in a sense, an identity crisis for those children, because, they've got a Black father, but their mother, is not that. And so I think it can kind of cause some type of confusion. But, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, but that's just kind of what I wanted to add there.
You were exactly right. They made whole movies about it.
They call it the tragic mulatto syndrome. Yeah. No, I
whole movies.
I think, it's complicated because I'll say it's like as a Christ follower, right? Like you see someone where it's like, okay, to a certain extent, look, it doesn't matter if you're a woman, man, or whatever. It's like, there's equal opportunity there as far as like believing in certain things. And there's very many churches I know, maybe it's because I'm in the Bay Area, but it's like, it's really mixed. You'll see all kinds of stuff. You'll see all kinds of relationships. And I personally, it's like I've said, I've never had an issue with interracial relationships. Some of my best friends are in interracial relationships, so I have no problem with that. But the challenge becomes like, especially in America where race still very much is a thing, like if you're engaging in those kinds of interactions and you're refusing to acknowledge those cultural differences, which is sometimes with honest low key, I'll see that. I'll literally see sometimes getting a tangent, different Christian folks, different folks in the church who will be like, oh, well, race doesn't matter. And then they use it as an opportunity to just not engage in the realities of how men and black men are treated versus a white woman versus whatever. And it just, then you have a woman or a kid growing up that's confused because they're being treated one way, but then they go to church and like, okay, but this doesn't matter. But then my experience tells me, so that's why it's like, you know, there's a practicality to this. And anytime you grew up in a certain culture and you're staying in that culture, of course, it's going to be easier to navigate to a certain way. Doesn't mean that you still can't find love or find peace outside of that, but that's going to come with its own set of challenges. But you also alluded to the point, right, SB, where it's like, you're still, even if you're dating or married within the same culture, there has to be some basics that are fundamentally at play. The woman still has to bring effort. And if she ain't bringing effort, it don't matter if y'all grew up in the same block. If she ain't
neighbors
relationship, then she ain't
right.
She ain't it. You know?
She ain't it. No.
So there's definitely nuance to this. Lady Di, what do you have on the question?
Okay, so just repeat the question so I make sure
It's basically, do you think that American Black women are better qualified to love a Black man more than any other race of women?
So other race of women can definitely be a wife if they're qualified, right? They have the traits, the requirements to put that onto a man, period. I don't think it has to do anything with race. But if you're talking about a Black woman with a Black man, I feel that that's how it's supposed to be, because we're just Black. We're Black individuals that other cultures, they're not going to understand because they're not us. So I would say it's even hard just with like I said, I'm from the North, my husband's from the South. That's already a culture difference. And that's hard in itself.
Girl, I understand.
Imagine if I was another race on top of that difference. It would be super confusing. So like, that's like if I married someone that wasn't of my race, I wouldn't never understand them because I've never grew up that way. Matter of fact, most of my friends are not that. So how can I be the type of woman, wife that you need? I feel like if you're a certain race, if you're with your race, they can provide you what you need because you guys are the same. I can't provide another person that is not of my race what that person is required to have. I can never do that. Now, can I be a wife to that man? Sure. But it's still subjective. And then when we talk about religion and all of that, you know, even us as Black people, we all don't follow the same religion. Mm-hmm. So it's still different in our own culture and our own society of Black people. So I just say, you know, keeping it simple to me is always what's better. But like we already talked about earlier with the passport bros, they have to get out of their comfort zone just to get a wife. They're not even caring about having that, oh, I got a Black woman, I'm a Black man. They can't even live that life. They have to get it elsewhere. And guess what? They're never going to live that life. They will marry these women and be happy, but I don't think they'll be fulfilled.
Mm. Wow.
Well, many of these men actually are going abroad to get Black women. That's the difference, and that's the main difference that I've seen between the passport bros. I mean, there's actually many, but one of them is that a lot of the passport bros I know are actually going abroad and they're still seeking out Black women. Now, some of them are going to Thailand and you know, or whatever. Yeah. There's some are just like, I prefer to have a woman that share the complexion, but I just can't rock with feminism. So it's I don't want to say all passport bros are on like a swirl mission. I think that would be a mischaracterization of the movie.
There's nothing wrong with the swirl.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Like I said, I never have no hate towards the interracial stuff. It's just when it becomes really self-hating, and then when it becomes dishonest. that's when it's just like, okay, stop. Okay, like
Right.
we all know you're swirling, fine, but you still gonna have to go meet the in-laws or the cousins of the parent. Okay, so.
And you know what? Lady Di brought up a point I didn't even think about. What about class and status? That's another cultural, because some of us don't even relate.
Right.
No, like black folks don't even, of different classes can't even hardly get along.
No, not at all.
So that's a whole different podcast.
They might have to go get them a white woman. I really.
But it's honestly sad that our men have to resort to that. Because again, as we've all mentioned, because we as women, as the sisterhood, won't change. Aren't willing to change.
No.
Like,
don't say that. Don't ever say that.
Like,
Don't ever use those words.
Right, they're gonna come for me. They're going to come for me.
No. They're the sisterhood. They can have it. They can keep it. They can coin it and put it on
we're not in
t-shirt.
it.